All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another match in the Yale Solo Duo Tournament. I'm here as one of your casters, Ben Thonic, alongside Pikel here, who has also casted in the past. We should have a good game on our hands, and we'll jump into draft shortly.
It is I, Pikel, the one
Yes,
and only.
the one and only, the Jin Superfan, here
Oh
to
yes,
cast
that's
a
me.
game. Yep. I'll go ahead and let
So
the players know that we're ready.
we saw Min's team play last night, Vitamin C. They had a substitute. Wait, no, the other team had a substitute top laner. But basically, they stomped Guts. Uh, it was kind of disgusting, if I'm being honest.
I did not get a chance to catch that game. Could you fill me in on what happened?
Well, one team uh had a substitute. Lance's team, Guts, had a substitute. That substitute played Malphite or Scion against Malphite. How do you think that matchup should go? Who do you think has the early lane advantage?
Could you repeat it for me? Sorry.
Scion against Malphite.
Sign against
Who would you
Malphite?
expect? Yeah, who would you expect to win that matchup?
I could tell you. I don't think it would be very volatile either way.
Oh, well,
Um,
you'd be wrong.
I would.
So Scion, well, the way I look at it is Scion should probably be better in the first couple of levels, but I think it was like level 4 or 5. Scion took a ridiculous trade against the Malphite where they won the trade and then stood in minions for like an additional 3 seconds and then lost like half of their health. And then from that point on, it was really difficult for them to play the lane.
I
Uh,
see.
Min got a solo kill on Lance. The bot lane did a good job engaging against Ezreal Yumi. That's like how you have to play the lane. I expected Guts to win that one pretty easy because I had played with Archer Boy the day before in a Clash, and he played really well. But I don't know, just it was a stomp from the early game. So we're in the
Impressive.
draft.
Well, yeah, we've
We're in the
jumped right into it. We're seeing a lot of bans just flying out from both sides. I think a few meta picks being taken out of the pool as expected. The Amumu and the Kale, particularly strong in the preseason patch, already being taken off the table.
Yeah. If if you're playing in this tournament and you let Namumu stomp you, uh, maybe it's not the champion. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, that 60% win rate doesn't do enough for you.
Maybe for babies,
Ooh,
maybe for
those are
children,
fighting words. Those are fighting words.
cry babies. Get what I mean? No, but I don't know. I think Amumu is it's a really good low elo champion, but it's too punishable in higher elo games.
Sure.
The first pick we have Hecarim. Hecarim right now is actually really strong. Uh, Still very strong with the new item changes. I've heard that Ravenous Hydra is like insane with Hecarim because it procs off of every person he hits with his Q. So in the middle of a team fight, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, surely. And Hecarim is the Paul or Dats GG, the jungler on Avatar. It is one of their favorite champions, so it's no surprise to be seeing this getting a lot of priority in their draft. Answered by the Shen and the Ari on the side of Vitamin C. Don't let the pro draft header trip you up. The team name is actually Vitamin C.
Yeah, gross moldy. I don't want to know what the rest of it is. I had to throw out some what I thought was spoiled milk, but after further review, I think it was not spoiled milk. But I was peer pressured into throwing it out. Taking away the Shen's actually a very good idea. Mauricio is a very, very, very good Shen player, and Shen Hecarim is insane.
Right, surely. What do you think is Mauricio's typical answer to the Shen? Perhaps you can give us a little bit of a prediction.
Um,
Will we see I don't know, a
I
Mordekaiser?
think I think that there are a lot of different ways. Okay, maybe a Darius.
A Darius.
So
Okay.
when I first started working with the Yale team, we actually did play a lot of Darius, because he would just steamroll top lane a lot of our games. And we would try to set up for like a 1-3-1 because at that point we were playing like assassins mid and Darius top in a lot of our games. I don't love it. I don't love it against Shen. If it was even skill, it's a diamond 1 versus a gold 3, so we have to be kind of afraid for the gold player because if
Right.
you take one bad trade in the early game, you're going to get laughed out of the lane. So that's very dangerous, obviously.
Yeah.
But Victor was very strong earlier. I think there was some kind of damage bug that they had to fix from his like passive item, so he's not as strong as he was earlier in the patch. I'm not sure if I love Hecarim, Darius, and Victor all together. It seems pretty low range.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no. It doesn't seem that there's a lot of direct follow up with the Hecarim quite yet. I feel like often you see a Hecarim paired with the Shen, which is obviously taken off the table here, but perhaps a Galio or at least something to give additional mobility for that follow up on the onslaught of shadows.
yeah. If the attention was somewhere else on the map, like let's say the game goes pretty even for the first 15, 20 minutes, and then they started like coming together for team fights around dragons and Baron and everything, I think it'd be kind of tough for the Hecarim to get in with like assistance unless they pick a support champion to help it out. But the game plan is probably just destroy Shen. I think
Yeah,
that's the
I,
first level of thinking. That's probably the way to go.
yeah, I think that's a fair assessment here.
Uh,
A few more
Attacking
bans,
globals,
right?
etc.
Though the second round of drafts do not seem to be on the same page as us here. A lot of mix of bans. We have the Vayne and the Samir being taken off, as neither AD carries have been locked in quite yet. A Rammus pick seems to be a curious ban. Perhaps it's a comfort pick on the side of Vitamin C. Um, a
Yesterday,
Trist,
Turtle Wizard. Yesterday, I think Turtle Wizard played a Mumu, so I think that was a good ban. Rammus is similar. I don't know what other champions Turtle Wizard plays, but it'll be interesting to see what's coming out. Tristana is a champion that I think will come back into the meta for pro play if the Ginsu's changes stay the same. Because when you used to be able to go Ginsu's Runans a long time ago, and that was really good for like a mixed damage Tristana. We could probably get back to something like that. It depends on what kind of team you're up against. Also, very good disengage for the Tristana. So unless Hecarim like uses the invulnerability from the ultimate, I think after the engage, he'll just get shot out, which is
right,
pretty good.
right. The Buster shot should be able to put in a lot of work and really just
What is
keep
happening?
Team Avatar at far away. What is happening? We
Is that
this
actually an Annie? What is
That
going on
must
here?
be. I suspect that this will be Lucy's Annie mid with a Victor Yumi bottom lane.
They
Um,
just they just said get 5-headed in the chat, so I guess that was intentional.
yes, yeah, that does seem to be a Victor flex to the bottom lane. Um,
That's interesting. I'd be very afraid of my Victor's safety.
yeah,
Uh,
though I don't think Victor is quite as a slouch in the early game as he used to be with the passive changes. To be frank, I haven't seen a Victor in the bottom lane yet.
Against Leona Trist, this is what I think is going to happen. It's going to be okay. Leona and Tristana get into the lane. They just kill every minion as fast as they can, and like start shoving it towards the other tower. Then you let the second wave come. You hit two. Leona flash engages. Tristana jumps in, and what's Victor going to do? Like he has to give up. Um, like pushing priority. He has to give up probably a bunch of CS because it's not like Victor's a long range champion. So you'll
No,
be doing a lot of like ease onto the entire minion wave. I just think it's going to get really sloppy. If they don't play it perfectly, they're going to lose a lot of CS under that tower, give up turret plates. That seems tough.
yeah, there's not a lot of room for error there. Even if this was a different support, not necessarily the Yumi here, I still think the Victor would have a hard time, and Yumi's already very punishable by a hard engage like Leona, so I do think that we should see a lot of pressure being exerted by Vitamin C here.
Yeah. Um and it's interesting because you have um Hecarim and Darius, they're going to want to try to win through top lane, and then you have Vitamin C, who's going to want to win through bot lane by like setting up tower dives in the bot lane and having Min roam. But if Mauricio is able to get a lead in the top lane first, then they're going to have to give up a lot when they start trying to make these plays bot lane. So if I'm, what's their actual name? It says Avatar Diff. That's not it though. What's their real
Their full team name is just Avatar, to my
Okay.
understanding.
So Team Avatar, they're going to want to play to the top side of the map, get rid of that top tower as soon as possible, play around early Rift Herald. Um, that's really how I think you just have to play this game. You need to try to force Shen to make decisions between taking CS, defending their tower, versus making plays on the other part of the map.
Right.
Um,
So it seems to just be a game that'll be split right down the mid lane. Strong side for Avatar on the top side, and conversely on the bottom side for Vitamin C.
yeah, I think it'll probably be easier for Min to honestly the talent well, not maybe I shouldn't say talent, the skill discrepancy in the top lane and the mid lane, it's on opposite sides for the teams. So like we have Mauricio should be in the better matchup in the top lane against Shen, and then we have Min, who would probably be able to have more of an impact on the bot lane just from roaming potential, pick potential onto the Hecarim. Hecarim's not really a jungler where you feel very in danger in your own jungle. I don't think Min can really do much about that, but Min's a good pick player in general, like playing LeBlanc, playing things like Ari, and just
Morgana,
playing around vision.
yeah,
Yeah, Morgana.
snare champions, of course.
Yeah.
How does the Ari Annie matchup traditionally go? Could you uh, speak
I
towards
don't
that?
think
We're getting word in chat from Will about this matchup, and I'm like,
so. I haven't seen what Will said. I assume that Will would agree with me that Min should win this lane regardless of what the champions are. You could put Min on uh let's just say a lot of different champions, and I
yeah,
think that they would win the
certainly.
lane pretty pretty easily. Worst case scenario, it would just be a farm lane, but I think that the pressure is probably going from Ari onto Annie. So it'll be easier for Ari to shove the waves. Annie will have to try to use her Q to continuously last hit minions, keep her mana up. Because if she starts getting into a spot where she has to continuously W the wave, that's going to be pretty bad. Uh, I think that. So what team do you think has the easier game plan to execute?
Easier game plan to execute. I mean, I think Avatar's game plan here is very clearly just try to funnel as much gold onto the Darius and top diff the game, however possible. Whether or not that's the more safe plan, I think is an entirely different question. But um, I think their strategy is pretty one dimensional in that regard.
So easier or simpler? Like ease of execution would be like I think probably on vitamin C side because
I would agree with you.
it's
Yeah.
like I just think you're asking so much more of your players if you're on Avatar because it's like if you want to play through top lane, you should probably just be drafting a lot of wave clear mid lane and bot. I think the Victor pick's probably going to give them some issues in the early and mid game. It's going to exert a lot of pressure on the map, and they're going to feel even more forced into playing through topside. And if you get into a spot where you have to start like diving Shen, I mean, you could mess it up. It's
Certainly. Yeah.
it's definitely something you can mess up pretty easy. At the same time, if Shen isn't paying attention to the wave state, Mauricio is going to freeze it, and that's a feels bad man situation.
Right. And I think having presumably the mid priority will be a bit of an X factor in the game for Vitamin C. I think that having Min available on the map to look for those picks wherever the map needs it does kind of give them the benefit of the doubt in those more uncertain scenarios.
Yeah,
Can move bot side for a dive to even set the victor even farther behind or assist in the top lane. I think it gives
yeah,
them a little more flexibility there.
yeah. It's really I'd be shocked if this game isn't Min shoves wave, invades red side jungle. Min shoves the wave, invades red side jungle. Like with the Vi, I think if you get the jump on Hecarim with Vi and Ari, I think that's pretty dangerous for the Hecarim. And also another like just cheesy thing that a lot of people do in solo queue, if you're the one with the lane priority, especially on red side as a mid laner, you shove in your wave, uh, pink that one bush, and then ward over, and then you just shove and disappear, and then the other mid laner might think to themselves, "I'm going to try to match the roam,"
Hmm.
and right when they walk down that small alley, Ari just tries to get a pick and one shot the Annie. I wouldn't want to be this Annie. Like I wouldn't want to be this Shen because I'm probably going to get dumpstered by Darius. I wouldn't want to be the Annie because I'm probably going to get dumpstered by Ari, and I wouldn't want to be Victor with a Yumi on my back because Tristana Leona, even against like good fighting bot lanes, it can go 50-50. This is a spot where I think Victor is pretty doomed.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
though it was a unpredictable pick to flex it into the bot lane. I don't know if it was necessarily the right call here.
yeah, maybe outsmarted themselves.
True.
But maybe it's a comfort pick. Maybe they're just saying to themselves, "This is my best champion. I am most comfortable playing this. I think it's best for the team." And then at that point, how do you tell somebody, "No, you're wrong"?
Yeah, no, yeah, you can't, and we'll have to wait till the
Yeah.
game. The spectator delay has just turned, or rather hit 0. So I will go ahead and switch scenes, and we should be seeing that in just a moment. There we are. Looking at summoner spells here, notably we have 2 ghosts on the top side of the map for Avatar on the Darius and the Hecarim respectively. They also have the High Noon skin synergy if that's something you care about. No teleports from Avatar. A little bit of an interesting decision there. As the
Both teams team foreskin, by the way.
True. That is, of course, something that's very important to point out. The barrier on the Annie and the cleanse on the Victor. I think would. What do you make of the barrier on the Annie here? I feel like that's probably the most
That
strange
that's like
one.
that's them saying, "I feel like I'm going to get punched in the face continuously in this lane, so I need to protect myself." That's not how you want to go into this lane. I think it's yeah, I understand why they would do it, but you're probably better off with a teleport or an ignite. So like the reason you would go teleport is to try to match a Shen roam. Um, or actually specifically the Ari roam too. Like you might think to yourself, I will never be able to walk through my own jungle. I should be teleporting down to bot lane when I can get a flank ward or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you go ignite, you would just say, okay, well, Ari's gonna somewhat predictably try to shove the wave in roam. I can just try to engage uh after like they use their Q for wave clear or something like that, like a flash ultimate or something.
Hmm.
Uh or a flash W and do an ult, etc. I do like the Annie changes. Annie and Hecarim do probably have some synergy now, and Annie plus Darius probably also have some synergy with the movement speed that you get. So with Annie Shield and Yumi giving zoomies and the healing and everything like that, like I like that component of the team. The Victor scares me a lot, and the fact they don't have a lot of wave clear until they get their items into the Victor.
I
Um,
also think it's important to note that they don't really have any terribly reliable source of physical damage. Of course, you expect the Darius to get ahead, but there's a Shen, there's a Vi, and there's a Leona, and that might not be enough to punch through a lot of armor.
yeah, that's a good point. One thing that we talk about a decent amount with the A team is like the types of damage, not AP versus physical, but sustained versus burst damage. And that's one of my issues with Jin. Like we've talked about this before,
Yes.
where Jin is really just a burst champion that happens to do physical damage. So if you need like a continuous damage source, then yeah, you're right. You're really relying on Darius and Hecarim to get an early game lead.
Yeah. There, I
Uh,
do expect to see a lot of armor on Vitamin C come mid game. Notably, we've already passed the level 2 power spike on the bottom side. It did not look like either bot lane made any engages there. We were talking about earlier about how we expected the Leona and the Tristana to really try to get a hold of the Victor in these early levels, but we haven't seen any of that quite yet. Already,
yeah,
though,
so
go ahead.
there's two ways that you can try to go about this. It's like if you want to get the early shove and make it more difficult for Victor CS, then you just try to shove it under their tower. Oh, Hecarim's going in.
Oh, the Vikyu is able to stop That's GG
Oh,
before the kill goes through, and that is a
oh,
first
oh,
blood. Oh,
oh, it's tragic.
I will stream onto Discord. My apologies.
Oh, it's tragic. So basically, Hecarim, I think Hecarim thought that they were going to get their charge off, um, or a second charge off or something, because you're going under the tower. They hit the Q before they were in range for Vi, and then Vi gets a shield. That's actually similar to what happened to me in I think the first game that we had on stream, where somebody tried to dive me under my tower, but I was ready with the Vi shield. Um, wow,
Yeah, that is tragedy for Death's GG there.
that's not great.
That is not great if your win condition is to completely take control of this top side of the map. It spells some bad news. Though the CS lead is coming through for Korobasny so far, so there's some hope there. Already at mid lane though, look at the CS differential building here, and I think Azuksa already is in trouble with Turtle Wizard coming here with double buffs, but we'll go ahead and walk that one out after spotting the Vi on a ward.
Yeah, so you might notice something that Min's doing as opposed to their teammates in the bot lane. Min is not necessarily trying to shove every single wave. They're trying to get some last hits, and then that's just creating additional pressure and denying CS away from the other team. The one reason why the bot lane is somewhat justified in shoving one of the first two waves is if they want to eventually let it push to their side and then freeze it around their tower. Because if Victor has to overextend themselves to walk up for CS, then you have a lot of engage options for the Leona and the Tristana. But
Right.
you can kind of see it either way, I guess.
Okay,
for which one's going to be better.
We see a quick trade here in the mid lane with an exchange of summoners. Zuxa burning the barrier in exchange for Suffix's Ignite. Though it seems that the Annie will be forced out of lane here, and will miss some experiences as their wave dies under tower.
Yeah.
We see the Vitamin C bot lane slowly pushing the wave in, but ooh, Korobasny hits a hook on Donjamao. Will not amount to anything as the Shen drops the Shroud. So let's see, I do want to keep watching this bot lane here and see what the wave management ends up being for Vitamin C. We've talked, oh, we have a pause here.
Yeah.
Leona disconnect. We've talked plenty about how the wave state can be manipulated here. And I wonder if they're on the same page that we are.
Yeah.
I also want to draw attention to the 900 gold lead already at this point in the game. 5 minutes in, the huge CS differentials coming through, especially in the mid lane, setting them up for an early lead.
Yeah, so we expected the CS advantage in the mid lane and the bot lane, and then we have obviously Darius creating a CS advantage in the top lane as well. I started looking up some items for like potential builds that the Darius is expected to go, and it's still saying Triforce, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mauricio went for a different mythic item because of the amount of tankiness potentially on the other team.
Okay. How much? Remind me, has Triforce changed much since the preseason, or is it more or less the same?
It's cheaper, and so it's cheaper, so you feel stronger earlier. But I think the overall value of the item's gone down in terms of what you're actually getting back. I know that they also changed some of the passives, so you still have that phage, the phage proc, even though it's not built out of a phage anymore. I don't think. They switched the move speed on minion kill. They switched that over to a different item, but they still have the spell blade, and you get attack speed with all of your legendary items as the mythic passive.
Okay.
So that's not great for Darius to begin with. Like, you don't want the additional attack speed. You want something else. I wonder what else you could really go though on the Darius. I know Divine Sunderer is a really strong item overall. You could go something trying to eliminate more armor.
Right.
That's probably the direction that I would go. But it looks like...
Oh, Tristana jumps in on the rocket jump. Dabu, of course, not having a lot of mana here on the Victor. Will get chunked out quite a bit. And with neither jungler on this side of the bot lane, it seems that these 4 players will be off to fend themselves for a little bit.
Yep. It looks like Mauricio is going to go for the Triforce, though.
Okay. So it will be a little more damage, a little less tank shred, it seems.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be tough. Mauricio's in a tough spot, I think, for the late game team fights where you have to try to get onto an Ahri or a Tristana. Ahri's gonna use 3 of her ultimates to get out. Tristana's gonna jump out, has Buster Shot. Not easy to stick.
No, not at all. I think I mean, we were talking about how there should be a top lane advantage here for the favor of the Darius, but I think all things considered, a 20 CS deficit and what seems to be a relatively even XP gap, I don't think is necessarily doomsday for the Shen. I
Looks
think
like
that,
they're going for a gank in the top lane right now as well.
right,
Hit another hook.
the cross map play will force the flash out of Anjumao. Though no onslaught of shadows available. Korobasny trying to finish off the kill with the execute, and will get that off, and will narrowly escape the tower shot death, healing off of his Q. A good cross map play to capitalize on the pressure being exerted on the bot lane. But here comes Suffix trying to pick up these last 2 kills. Will dash in once, dash in twice. The charm will go wide, and they do not seem to be able to pick up the kill. Stand United coming down onto Suffix, but will not be enough. And Ozuxa is here for safe measure. That was pretty
I
disastrous.
I thought that Min actually did something really interesting there. I thought that Min threw the Q and then dashed to try to get behind the other champions. I thought that's what was going on. I think Min may have thought that they had enough damage to do that to potentially get a double kill. And also Shen coming back up for the shield with the ultimate. I think that's probably where the line of thinking was. I was also going to say it's interesting that they went for a gank on the top lane right there for Avatar's team because they were setting up a freeze. So like obviously you do want to get a kill because you're getting gold instantly, but like the pressure that a freeze can put on the other team can sometimes result in a much larger gold differential. So
And we have action here in the bot lane, and Vi's coming in from behind the tower. The Assault and Battery going deep into the tower. Will force a cleanse out of Dablu, and in exchange for a flash on Turtle Wizard. Don't think that went quite as planned. The Vi there was heavily banking on a gank there, standing behind the tower for, I'd say, about 30 seconds. All for what seems to just be an exchange of summoner spells.
yeah, as a Vi player, I've played a ton of Vi over the years, and that's probably a spot where you want to look for a Q flash.
Right, the Assault and Battery, I think, was a little deep. And
Yikes.
Korobasny will go ahead and just pick up the solo kill.
Yeah, game's over.
Unprompted.
Game's over for Shen.
Yeah, I think so. I think I
And
probably
again, you
spoke a
saw the
little too
wave
soon.
building up. You saw the wave building up a little bit there, so the Shen's probably thinking to themselves, I need to try to make this crash so I don't get frozen out of my lane. But
Yeah,
they couldn't really do anything about it. So the reason I was talking about the ViQ, ViQ again.
yeah, here
Hits
it
one.
is. Seems to just be a handshake. Oh no, the Onslaught of Shadows, because I think Paul is calling over Ozusa. The Summon Tibbers will lock down Turtle Wizard and get the kill.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how the wave being built up there really forced the Shen's hand, but ultimately they lost both the wave and their life. So I think, yeah, the
Yeah.
lane feels pretty over if you're the Shen.
And this is when you need to be patient as a Shen. Like, so if you go to the top lane right now, you'll see if Shen is trying to shove out this wave or not. Yeah,
Not.
so they're kind of doomed again because they're going to eventually push this, even if it's just an accident with like Sunfire Cape and everything. So you're going to be in a spot again where Darius can just force Shen off of minions, try to stop them from getting XP.
So if you're, let's say you're Turtle Wizard, you're this Vi, you play a lot of Vi. Where are you focusing on the map now?
Bot lane.
Bot lane? And
Yeah.
here we go. We have a trade of ultimates. We have Final Chapter in exchange for the Solar Flare, and that will also be a trade of lives. The Leona falling with the victor.
Yeah, so the reason I brought up the Q before, like a Q, it's a Q flash, not a flash Q.
Okay.
So the reason like Vi went in with a Q thinking that they would probably have enough distance on the Q to get the knock up into the ultimate, but when you miss the Q, it really just stops your gank unless you want to ultimate. And they tried to ult onto the tower and nothing happened. If you flash while you're charging the Q, it's going to give you a lot of extra range and it's more sudden, so they have less time to react. That means like the chances of you actually hitting your Q is much higher, and then you can follow up with your ultimate instantly, and you'll be in a much better spot to potentially get that kill.
Right.
A lot of players don't want to give up their summoners though.
The devastating charge falling onto Suffix here from Death's GG, but I don't think they suspected Turtle Wizard to be here. That will be a very easy 2-for-0 with a little assistance from the Shenstein United. Likely will be
Big
a
bait.
dragon picked up a vitamin C. Good play there. I think I don't expect, or rather, I don't think Avatar was quite aware of who was still up on the map, and we're definitely not keeping track of that Shen timer.
And this is probably something you don't want to see if you are the Darius, because you've done a pretty good job so far of keeping the Shen down. The only way that they're going to stay in this game is by getting assists from like teleport plays onto other parts of the map. But a very close game overall. We've seen both teams have leads so far.
Right. We're only sitting at a 1,000 gold lead. And interesting dragon here. We have Korobasni in the top, or rather in the bottom lane, just letting top being shoved out so that they can pick up this ocean dragon. It seems it will go uncontested.
And for newer players out there, I don't know if they would have noticed this or not, but Darius does get healing off of like dragons, barons, and monsters now. That was a change. That was a change a couple patches ago when they started changing like bruisers to try to get more bruisers in the jungle.
Oh, right.
They buffed I think it was Brand, who's not a bruiser, but it was like Brand got a buff, Urgot got a buff, Darius got a buff. That was a while ago. Oh, and I think Kled and Gnar did as well. So it's like it gives them the option to be even more oppressive in the laning phase. Like if you build up a big lead, take the tower, you can start stealing one of their camps continuously as well. So it helps them build up an even more impactful lead.
A lot of blue pings falling onto Suffix here. They're trying their best to get the pick. Korobasni burns the Ghost, and that's GG burns the Onslaught of Shadows, but the Ahri ultimates will carry them to safety without much risk at all. Again, a lot of resources, just trying to get as many picks as possible into the Darius, and they're not all coming through, as we've seen.
Yeah, the CS differential in mid is even larger than top lane now. So
yep. There's
the other part. Oh, it's another gank opportunity.
Here we go. Oh, a late flash from Turtle Wizard. The kill will still go over onto the Hecarim. I think that's probably unideal. Would have preferred to have that on the Darius, but nevertheless, got the kill, got the flash. And the Herald will be dropped here. As DeathGG comes in forward, the gank onto the Ultilis. Oh. Ahri still, though, the flash available, and he will. I'm sure he's happy to escape with his life there.
Good charm by Min. I think that's one thing that happens to a lot of lower elo players is they get into a spot where they're flash ult from the Victor misses.
Right.
Tristana narrowly escapes
on the Tristana there. A teleport coming in with the Stand United. Seems to be a little bit of a miscommunication here. Perhaps that was necessary in the earlier trade, but the Shen will just block this out without seemingly doing anything. Oh, but R9T might have found themselves caught out here. Oh, but still, the Buster Shot will actually burst down the Victor, and the Yuumi will hop on to DeathGG. It's a 2-for-2, or 2-on-2, but not for much longer. Here comes Azusa, but I don't know that they quite wanted this fight. The Summon Tibbers will kill Orange Ninja. Oh man.
We've entered Fiesta territory.
We have entered Fiesta territory. Who even all died here?
Funny. What I was gonna try to say about Min was like Min didn't panic when they were getting engaged on it in the mid lane, because Min's a grandmaster, right?
Yeah.
Vi's going in for a gank.
Salt and battery onto the Darius. The Q heal's not enough, and that will be a
starting with your ultimate there is not a horrible choice by the Vi. Like it might seem strange at first, but basically what you're trying to do in that situation is use your ultimate as Vi to get in behind the enemy, and then Q afterwards. Even though it's going to be a little less damage since you have a teammate coming for the follow-up, it's a little bit more guaranteed CC.
Right.
Probably the right way to go. But
yeah,
so let's try to make this. Let's try to make this point again. So Min did not panic because they're a grandmaster player. They know that they have abilities in their kit. Every time I try to talk, there's a gank. Hecarim ult in the mid lane.
It's okay. Approximately
a 2% chance of that gank ever working. So the reason I'm trying to point this out is because Min knew that they had the tools in their kit to survive that potential dive from a Hecarim by using the charm before they can get the devastating charge off.
Yeah.
When we go to the bot lane, we saw that Tristana, even though she had access to heal her jump and Shen ultimate, they didn't feel comfortable enough to try to force the issue. So if you have a Grandmaster or a Challenger AD carry in that spot, they're probably saying to their teammates, I'm going to bait them to come onto me right now. Leona, you're going to engage onto the Victor. Shen, you ult me. I'll jump back in, and we'll just 3v2 them in the bot lane.
Right.
But that's not what we saw.
Ghost being burned by Korobasni as the tower falls. I think this will set up for a... Oh, forces the flash out of Andromeda, but still Korobasni wants more. The taunt doesn't come out, and it seems that Andromeda will get the better of this trade and will be able to get the taunt off before the Q heal comes on to Korobasni. Oh boy.
That one's going on the fridge.
That is not something that you want to see if you, if your bet is all on top diff. The tower, of course, falls and the cooldowns are burned, but you really hope that the Darius is able to win that one and exert the pressure.
Yeah, that was pretty strange because Darius used Ghost and was not going to be able to get a kill onto Shen there, but Shen panic flashed out, and I think that just another engage by the Vi. Didn't have flash to go in on that one, but
With
nothing
cooldowns
really happened.
being thrown at by everyone, I'm not sure that either team is quite willing to fully commit to this fight, and it seems that way. Both sides will back off. Just a lot of ultimates being burned for seemingly nothing.
Yeah, that this is a spot where if you're playing in a ranked team environment, you need to try to communicate to your team, why are we fighting? Like, the goal obviously is to get kills and then take dragon afterwards, but the real priority should be on the dragon. So using all of your ultimates for a potential gank to try to get the dragon is probably just a waste. And they give up a dragon for it.
Right? That will be a second dragon on the side of Avatar. Of course, we'll have an Infernal Soul. A very valuable soul coming up. So more dragon fights to come, or perhaps more ultimates to be burned slightly before dragons to come.
Yep, we have all the mythic items completed already.
Yeah, let's take a look at those.
2 Triforces, Ludens.
Leandri's Anguish for the victor there. Do you know if that's standard?
I am not sure. It makes some sense, but I don't know. I don't play much Victor. I'm not sure what else you'd even really be able to go. You could go with some kind of like typical wave clear item like Ludens. Maybe that would have been better for like wave clear specifically. I'm also somewhat surprised that Annie went for first item Ludens.
The Onslaught of Shadows here going on to Suffix, trying their best to get a pick, but the Arya is just going to dash away. Can they get away from this? It seems that they are able to. On the backside of the fight, Korobasni is looking to pick off Turtle Wizard. Korobasni Q flashes, the Q doesn't land, but the ultimate will be enough to finish off the Vi, and still looking for more onto Anjumao. As here come the reinforcements, DasGG on the Hecarim looking to flank this Shen. A devastating charge will push them further into blue team lines, and Azuxa comes here. The final stacks being burnt onto the Shen, and another ultimate kill will go the way of the Darius.
I'd be very curious to ask Vitamin C what they think the goal differential is in this game right now, because the Darius is probably really scary, but in reality they're still winning right now.
Right. I mean, there's we're well on our way to Flame Horizon in the middle lane. Already an ADCS plus deficit. The charm lands, and this will be a solo kill over to Suffix. The gold lead just keeps growing in this mid lane, and I think Suffix is looking for more in the bottom lane. The Tristana hovering out of vision and maybe look for a jump, but I think this plan will be thwarted by the wards.
Yeah, we haven't seen a big play bot lane other than the failed gank with like Shen ultimate onto a Vi with the Ahri coming in like a 5v2 or a 5v3 in the bot lane. We also haven't seen much ward advancement from red side really anywhere.
No, not at all. I don't think very many wards have been placed from either support yet.
I guess that is what you kind of expect from a relatively close game that keeps swinging back and forth.
Yeah, that is fair, and we're still hovering at a 1,000 deficit. With the Ahri ulting in to pick off this Hecarim, and trade of unstoppable ultimates here. I think Turtle Wizard did not want to go in quite that far. Still, the Stand United will come through, and a 1-for-1 will be traded. But here comes Korobasni, here comes Dablu, the final chapter, and the Chaos Storm will be enough to kill off Suffix, and the failed flash from R9T will set up another kill for Korobasni.
That was a great play by the Victor to flash in there. A lot of players would probably be afraid to do that, but I think Victor understood that by flashing forward, getting the Yumi ultimate onto multiple enemies is like the easiest way to guarantee a team fight win there. with Mauricio showing up. The thing with Vitamin C there, they didn't fully commit to that play at the right time. Min Mystic Charm, which is not typical. But when the Vi is going in, the call should be, I'm going in, Shen ult me now. That way you have the
Yes.
shield for the engage. Just a little disjointed there.
Yeah, I think if we're talking just team communication straight up, Avatar had a way better showing there. The Dabbler's
Yeah.
flash forward was really great with the final chapter on him to just completely punish the retreating lines of Vitamin C in that choke. They were
Yeah.
very committed. I think Turtle Wizard was not looking to go quite that deep. A good onslaught of shadows from Death's GG to get that Vi underneath the tower.
And now they're in a tough spot because they have to ask themselves, should we be contesting this next dragon? Are we strong enough to fight them? The Baron buff did give over a decent amount of gold, so you are going to feel that in the next team fight. But
Yep.
it's not like they've used the Baron buff to get additional towers, additional gold. That's really when you're going to start seeing the gold differential grow to like 3 to 4,000 gold. Like, let's say, if we assume that Avatar can get at least 2 towers here.
Yeah. At the very least, I think we expect to see this mid lane being shoved out, perhaps the bot lane, and they'll certainly look to pick up this dragon. Clearing
Yeah, so you
vision
really
as we
want,
speak.
exactly. Yeah, you want to shove mid wave, move as a team into the river, try to get some vision in the enemy jungle for the routes they're going to take into the fight. If you're Vi, who are you trying to engage on?
That's a good question. I think you definitely don't want to engage on the Darius. I don't think anyone wants to engage on the Darius. And I don't feel like the ultimate is well spent on the Annie, to say the least.
Yeah,
It's kind of a conundrum, I would say.
it is counterintuitive, but I'm pretty sure you have to go for the Darius and just hope that you can, like, in with some combination of abilities, kill the Darius. I don't trust anybody else on Avatar to, like, perfectly execute in a team fight. I think if anybody's going to do that, it's probably going to be Mauricio. They have the most gold on their team. Um, with the Sterix Gauge, though, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I think you're in a spot where you kind of have to do it. That's the one chance you have of winning a team fight, is by making sure Darius is dead.
Yeah, you gotta blow him up before
Yeah.
he gets those heals and those resets. And that's a tall task at this point in the game. The Darius, let's take a look at the gold values just for kicks. Up now,
Oh God.
4,500 gold alone
Uh,
over the
yikes.
other top laner. That is, he is a very rich Darius at this stage of the game. Let's put those
Yeah.
away.
Only a little bit over 1,000 gold separating the two teams. That is pretty significant, especially since the mid lane and the bot lane both have advantages on Vitamin C.
Yeah. Do you want to shout out the Flame Horizon, the 100 CS deficit in the mid lane for Suffix?
Feels bad, man.
It does.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Shen was ultimately Flame Horizoned as well. So is it really a Flame Horizon if both teams have someone Flame Horizoning the other team?
Maybe not. If everyone's Flame Horizoning, nobody is. Or something like that. I think a wise man once said that one.
Definitely.
So I think... Oh, okay, we have some picks here, though who is picking who? I can't quite tell. The Assault and Battery puts Turtle Wizard deep into the enemy team, and that will be 2 kills quickly over to Vitamin C. The final chapter is going to do their best, but I think this is just disaster. Corvast is going to try to do their best to flash Q. That's another 2 kills going over. This might just be a wipe. The Yuumi heals and the Zoomies just providing so much. Tristana's still in the bot lane, and that will be, what, a 3 for 3 when all things are said and done?
That's crazy.
Though you gotta ask, who wins on that map after this? It's hard to say that was really a fight for anything. The Tristana's just going to go ahead and pick up this tower bot lane, I presume.
Yeah, then I guess Vitamin C wins that trade then.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't, and the Baron, of course, not available, and the dragon was just taken.
Wow, they actually saw Tristana jump back into that bush. They know that she's there right now.
Oh, and R9T will escape. Oh my gosh, that has to be a scary few moments there.
I like the idea. Like, they're probably thinking there's no way they see me right now, but they saw it. That was a kind of a sloppy engage again from Vitamin C. Min was going for a pick in the beginning, got the pick. Most of the time, the Hecarim would just be like, "Okay, I just lost half my health. I'm getting out of here." But not
Yep.
that's GG.
No,
That's
no, no.
GG said, "Let's go all the way in,"
Pop the
which is
ghost, pop the ultimate.
yeah, super dangerous. Did they have Yumi on their back at that point or no? No, right?
I
It
think
was
the
still with
Yumi
Victor.
came with the Victor.
Yeah, so when you're Hecarim there, I mean, if you're Vitamin C, that's like a perfect scenario. You're probably thinking to yourself, "There's no way we don't get a kill and win a team fight right here." But it was a little bit disjointed again. The Shen didn't ultimate instantly because they were um, they were like relatively close. So they're not using it for the teleporting aspect from like getting across the map. It's more about the shield and being directly on top of your Vi because Vi ended up going into the other back line and they didn't really have the follow up to finish that off easily. I think if they executed that one a little bit better, especially after they got the jump with the pick and Hecarim overextending,
Yeah.
they should have done better in that fight.
No, I completely agree with you. I think if that Stand United is properly timed with Turtle Wizard's ultimate, I think the backline um, from Avatar could potentially just get wiped right then and there.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you only have so much time until the Darius shows up, and once the Darius shows up, you got to
yeah,
run. You
yeah.
have
I
to run
mean, yeah,
away.
we saw what happened. That was not what you want to see. Of course, the Darius. We haven't had a chance for many team fights where the Yumi hops onto the Darius,
Yeah,
but that has to be a terrifying sight. I imagine we'll see
yeah,
the the Darius pop up once or twice with the assistance of those zoomies in the last chapter.
and that's something that's interesting to think about because you do have a decent amount of hard CC on the side of vitamin C, but you really don't have like the disengage kind of CC. A lot of it requires you to also be going in.
And while all of this is happening, we have Avatar just capturing the inside track on this mid lane push, but I don't think they're going to be able to escape. The charm will land from Suffix onto Azusa and pick one kill off. DasGG is escaping on the bottom side of the map. R9T jumping forward with the rocket jump will force the Onslaught of Shadows out of DasGG.
The old
And
Storm Razor tech on the Tristana.
oh, interesting. I haven't seen that one in a while. Still though, we have pressure just being exerted by Avatar in the mid lane, and Turtle Wizard will presumably take this Infernal Drake. DasGG, I think, went a little too soon for the steal attempt, and the Assault and Battery will lock him down before he can even do anything.
Yeah, I don't think they had vision on it. It was kind of just a jump over and hope that it's relatively close. That Storm Razor buy is extremely good against Darius and Hecarim.
Wait, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then Ari also has a Rylai's, so they are really trying to slow things down. And when you're lacking that kind of disengage that you would get out of something like a Janna, or out of like a long range mage that can root somebody, or has like some kind of long range CC, you really need other things to try to keep the Darius under control. Because if Darius is faster than everybody on your team and can just run at you, then nowhere is safe besides under your towers. And if Darius is really fed, that's not safe either.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's a smart buy. You're definitely
Yeah.
right about that. I would have maybe liked to see some Baron pressure. I suppose that Vitamin C was scared of the Darius, which is completely fair, but the jungler, of course, falling there, looking for that Dragon Steel. I think there was might have been an opportunity there.
And it's another spot where you have to like. I would love to just pause the game and ask both teams like, who do you think is winning right now? What do you think the gold lead is right now? And just see what they have to say because most of the time players will say that they have a good understanding of like when they're ahead or when they're behind in a game,
Yeah.
but that's a lie.
No, yeah, you're definitely right.
For the most part, players rely a lot on like feelings and intuition, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's only so many ways you can try to figure out if you're winning or losing, but um, a lot of the times you're too focused on how you feel in the game to figure out what kind of fight do we win. If you're Vitamin C, you need to know that yes, Darius is terrifying. Yes, they have wave priority in multiple lanes for the most part. Um, but if we get a fight on our terms, or if we get a pick, we still can win a team fight pretty convincingly. If you had to guess, what would you say the goal difference is? If you were like a player on Vitamin C, how does this game feel? How do you think the game would feel to you?
If I were Vitamin C, I would probably just not want to take any fight with the Darius. Even though,
But in terms of gold,
in terms of
like
gold, Um, I'd say probably like down 2K. Uh,
I bet it feels worse than that. It probably feels worse than that.
yeah, I bet you're right. I think you see that bounty and you see those 8 kills. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, bounty 8 kills. The other team has gotten a Baron, you haven't. The other team has more towers than you do. Um, those are the kinds of things. And really, if that's GG didn't jump over the dragon pit to try to steal the dragon soul, um, that might make them feel a little bit better. But that also probably speaks to Avatar maybe not feeling as comfortable in their gold lead as uh, a team with like a lot more kills than the other team or a lot more tower kills than the other team.
yeah,
Because it's kind of it seems kind of desperate. Like you could just say, okay, they got to pick on us. We'll give up one dragon. We'll fight the next dragon. That should be good enough.
yeah. I mean, certainly not. It's not a Dragon Soul point or anything. It's a strange decision.
Yeah. Have you been able to play much on the new patch with the new items and everything?
Yeah, I've played a bit, though I don't necessarily play the widest array of champions.
What have you been playing?
Just support still. Uh,
Bard.
Bard Rakan, some Vel'Koz, and whatever I get in ARAM, basically.
So have any of the new items stood out to you as really good support options for your champions?
Um, I don't think in terms of like being strong, no. I think the Moonstone item has probably been the most lackluster of the support items. But
Yeah.
otherwise, between Locket and Mandate, and Shirelia's, I feel like they're pretty even. I was surprised to see how many supports actually go Mandate.
Yeah.
I thought Mandate would be like the sort of damage item that you would see only like a Zyra or Brand building, but I think like John is building Mandate, Bard's building Mandate. It's
Yeah.
being picked up by a lot of people.
If you can force trades as a support, mandate's going to be a lot better than it seems at first. Like if you can dictate how the fights go in general.
Uh,
But I agree with you about Moonstone Renewer. That is kind of underwhelming so far because the amount that gets healed is relatively low. Um, Even though it's like not periodic, but close to periodic.
right. What items have jumped out at you so far in your
Eclipse.
experience? Eclipse. Oh, of course. Man, Eclipse Jin is. I don't mean to
Yeah.
utter Jin's name here, but
What'd you say?
Eclipse Jin is pretty terrifying, I will say.
Yeah, I think one thing that you generally see when big changes are made to the game, the ones that have the biggest effect, like the most easily noticeable effect, the most easily noticed effect, are generally the ones that players are attracted to the most. So like Duskblade of Drakthar, a lot of players have been using that because it turns you invisible, but a lot of the time it's really not um as good as the other items that are out there. Like Eclipse seems at first like, oh, it's not that good. It gives you a shield. So what? Like it gives you a little shield and it gives you a little bit more damage. But in reality, it's very similar to what's happening with Mandate because you have champions that can take trades on their terms are winning trades even harder and giving the other player less opportunities to punish them like by overextending because all you have to do is make sure you have that shield proc, take your trade, get out, and you've developed like a small lead in your lane.
Yeah. Uh,
Do that a couple of times, and that's a kill.
and I think we've seen stuff like that reflected in the win rates. At least my read on like all of the data that is coming through as far as win rates are concerned is that I don't think the um like at least in the bot lane, I don't think the champions that are being picked have like shaken up a whole lot. But the win rate, like the variance in win rates, I think has greatly increased. I think like the top pool of champions win rates have gone up, and the opposite of the bottom
Yeah.
pool of champions. I think.
So
Go ahead.
you go ahead. No, you can go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I think like that goes hand in hand with what you're saying with how basically the champions that were already feeling good with how the game state are just loving the new items.
Hmm. I think it's different. I think that's also felt because of the meta that we're coming from. So like right now, in general, when a lot of things change in League of Legends, people are attracted to burst damage, right? That's the first thing that everybody tries to figure out is what new items are the strongest in terms of burst damage, which one's going to make me the most powerful when I'm attacking the enemy.
Mhm.
So instantly people are playing that, right? And a lot of the champions that use those the best and the flashiest are assassins. So the assassins are going to feel good day one because they know if I build this item and this item, I'm going to do a ton of damage. I can one shot somebody,
Yep.
right? And then it only takes somebody getting one shot 3 or 4 times until they say to themselves, "I'm going to start playing tanks."
Yep.
And then you have the burst damage get beat down by the tanks, and that's what we saw almost instantly. Was these Sunfire items are just very powerful, give you a lot of diversified stats. Like you have a lot of different build path options. So if you're the kind of player who goes into a game saying, I'm building this item, and this item, I'm never changing my build, then you're probably at a bigger disadvantage than you were before the items changed. Because as a jungler, when you know you're going to go Sunfire, that's fine. But now you should really be taking the other team's composition into consideration because there are 3 different ways that you can build your resistances through the jungle items now. Well, they're not jungle items, but the tank items.
Yeah.
So, like Turbo Chem Tank is very interesting. It gives you that gigantic speed boost, um, and a ton of MR. Then you have Frostfire Gauntlet, gives you the additional armor instead of MR, and then you have Sunfire Aegis, which is the balanced option for tanks right now. And that's why people are upset. Is like, oh, come on, all they have to do is build a Sunfire, and
Mhm.
then I can't do any damage to them. Um, the logical conclusion of that is yes, the assassins will be able to get their burst damage off onto like the priority targets pretty often, but eventually in a team fight, the tanks are going to be able to deal enough damage over time to deal with you in a close game. So it's really just in a spot where everybody's going to complain about something regardless.
Mhm.
So right now, the people who probably have the best reason to complain are AD carries, um, because the assassins can kill them and the tanks can kill them.
Yep.
Uh, but the reason that's happening right now is because we're coming out of a meta that heavily incentivized teams to play a lot of utility AD carries. So we're not really used to having a true carry AD carry where you're something like Vayne that can shred tanks. And we'll see that come back, and we'll also see Trundle come back. That's why I played Trundle the other day.
Yeah.
Was for the shredding for tanks. Just
Okay.
expecting them to have a lot of tanks on their team.
All right. Well, that was a that was a fun little discussion on items. I'm sure we could go on for hours. I want to talk sometime about the crit items. I know there's been a lot of discussion about that, but we'll save that for another day. We had a pause there for I don't know about 5 minutes there because I think R9T's power went out or their internet went out. But it seems that we are finally back into it. This game's still close. The gold margin under 1K. Uh, Already a trade going down here with Suffix dashing in, using the ultimate there and forcing the summon Tibbers from Azuxa, but that will also go wide. It seems
So do
that.
you
Go
do
ahead.
you think do you think either team benefited more from that pause?
Oh, I'm no psychologist. It's hard to tell. I think.
Just take a second, think about it. You don't have to give me an answer right away. I'll take over the
Oh, we
oh
have another
no,
pass.
oh no,
Oh boy. All right, we might be in for a
oh
long one.
no.
Well, we were talking earlier about how much Vitamin C was probably playing with fear of this
Yeah.
Darius.
Hmm.
I would expect that as the time goes on, I feel like your jitters probably just are reduced a little bit. Like I
Yeah.
think you're probably still scared of the Darius, but I don't know. When you're getting run down every single team fight by Darius, or every 2 minutes, I feel like he builds into a little bit of a monster in your head.
Yeah. I think that's the side that I would have been on as well. I would have said I think that it's um better for vitamin C. Apparently, there's a lot of what's it called? A lot of changes with rosters coming in for the LCS. Doron, Chovy, Deft, and Keria have all left DRX.
Wow.
That is insane.
Who does that leave on DRX still?
The jungler.
Is that Piosik?
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Interesting. Where are they? Is there word if they're staying in LCK?
I don't know. I think it just says that they're separating. I think that Keria has a bright future. They're like only 17 or 18 years old. I actually expected DRX to be one of the best teams for a couple of years because of that. Chovy's extremely young, Keria's extremely young, PO6 extremely young, but they're gone. Apparently Sword Art is moving to TSM.
Ah, I've heard
Team
rumors of that.
Kiss'em.
Team Solo Mid. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the, what was it? It was Travis Gafford's leak show or rumor show about all of these moves. Apparently Hooney's being bought out by TSM, so it'll be Hooney, Spica, Power of
Wait,
Evil,
really?
Double Lift, and Sword Art. That I think that is the current rumor. Because
I'm
Hooney,
seeing 100 Thieves Huhi. Oh, Huhi, not Huni.
yeah, I said, yeah, Hooney to TSM is apparently the current rumor. Maybe it's been overturned in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, Jacob Wolf is doing something today. They have like a show that they're doing. I don't know if that's already happened or not.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that's what I was watching.
yeah,
It's him and Travis Gafford and Avlime.
true,
Oh,
true. And Tim Sevenhoisen or whatever, right?
yeah, or the Oracle's Elixir guy.
Yep. Yeah, I do a decent amount of like betting, gambling, and all that kind of stuff um on Pro League. So I'm relatively familiar with Oracle's Elixir from that. Like a lot of people are always trying to find edges through statistics and stuff like that. But Tim, that's obviously Tim's website, his business, and he's trying to work his way into the content game, I believe, right now.
I see. Okay, we're jumping back in finally here. 2 long pauses. Let's hope we don't see a third. Um, it'll be interesting to see where the teams just pick up in macro. It looks like Gorbowski's just running straight to this Baron Nashor. Red team pings are quickly falling onto it. I don't think. Maybe we'll just see a 5v5 here.
Yeah, the junglers are 14 to 14. This is a pretty good way to try to force an engage if you are Avatar,
Right, I
but
think,
nothing
yeah,
happens.
Avatar's team definitely thrives on people running into them. The Darius and the Victor are fans of that one. But that situation will be diffused a little bit. Tristana looking to get that top tower. The last outer tower is still in the game.
I'm not trying to completely derail what we're doing here, but FlyQuest picked up Jose Deodo from Latin America.
Interesting. Okay.
That is a yikes move, in my opinion. I think that we're coming out of a jungler meta, so a lot of junglers are going to look a lot better than they really were. It'll be interesting to see if like the region change and getting onto a new team and all that allows them to still be a carry player. Uh, it's definitely a downgrade though from Santorin, I think, for the short term. But maybe their idea is like long term. Jose Deodo is only 20, but if you're taking a 20-year-old from the Latin American League, I don't know. Mauricio going too far forward almost dies.
A lot of
But
ultimates being thrown down. The Summon Tibbers and the Chaos Storm, but that will be a
oh
kill
no.
already over to Korobasny. The onslaught of shadows for That's GG, I think, a little disjointed from the team. R19 will rocket jump to safety with just a sliver of health. But still, Korobasny wants
Oh,
more. The trade of Flash with Suffix there. I don't think
Trist
Turtle
actually
Wizard
dies.
quite wanted to go in. Triss dies there as seemingly collateral. 3
That
falling
was
from Vitamin
that
C
was from
there.
the new mythic item. That was actually the mythic item I think that took out the Tristana.
Wow.
Um, wow.
This will certainly cost them an inhibitor. They might look for more. We're seeing blue pings on the Nexus towers. I think Avatar will just try to end here. They have
They
13
can't.
seconds until the Shen, but the wave will just evaporate. They cannot
So
end.
Dragon is coming up very soon. They might be thinking to themselves, try to keep up the wave pressure so that we can just back off straight onto the Dragon and try to take that instantly. Hecarim's going to be up before Vi. Probably neither of those players will be at this Dragon though. I don't think they have enough time. If I'm Team Avatar, I'm just saying start it, try to take it. Um, it is somewhat risky, but even if you lose this, you have another chance of coin flipping 6 minutes from now.
That is true. Looks like they will just peel off. Actually, no, here comes SGG. They will secure the Infernal Soul, so that's a huge buff going over. And that Darius will
Yep.
start to do even more damage.
Yeah, in that
Uh,
last team fight, we also saw the difficulty of like having Darius plus other champions on their team, like connecting their abilities. Um, Almost died for it, and then Hecarim, obviously, it was difficult for the Darius to get back on top of the back line with Hecarim diving into the back line. Um, so this is a spot where probably champion comfort is more important than like a team composition that makes a little bit more sense
certainly.
for these teams.
Blue team moving towards the Baron here. They did pass over a pink ward. I don't think they realized, so Vitamin C is very well aware. Suffix here will use the vision cone to confirm that they are not actually on the Baron. Again, it's just kind of a standoff. Though the Infernal Soul, you gotta wonder why they don't just go ahead and start this. Ooh, okay, the Yumi Q will burn the Banshee's Veil off of Suffix there. It's a good cooldown to burn.
This is also one of the downsides of not having an 80 carry. Makes it much more difficult to take Baron.
Right, of course, but still, this thing is just burning down.
Infernal Soul will do that.
It certainly will. I don't think, though, that we'll see this thing fall without at least a little bit of fighting first. Suffix, I think, is looking for a flank over this wall, as is Turtle Wizard.
If I'm Vitamin C, I probably just I would just let Avatar try to start it. Like, let them get into the pit and then try to swoop your way around and then force a fight in the Dragon Pit. That'd probably be better for them.
I don't think Vitamin C, though, is quite aware of the position that Avatar is going here. They're just going straight to top. They're going to be really slow in this rotation, so I think that'll cost them the tower here. Can Avatar get out, though? It appears that they aren't even afraid.
It's a tough spot. Infernal Soul is worth so much.
Right, you have to just have a perfect engage. Here comes the Hecarim with the Onslaught of Shadows going wide, and we'll just face tank a Charm, but I think they might have enough damage with the Zoomies. Still, though, it's going to be close. No one dies there.
Good job. It was a good job zoning by the Leona there. That was very important that they actually were there to stand there.
Right, I think multiple players getting out with a sliver of health. The Ahri, of course, and the Andy there. Both teams are just choosing to play this game slower. I mean, you obviously can't really blame Vitamin C. I think this macro is, or picking the right team fight here is just so difficult.
You really have to try to get a pick, and that's what Min was looking for with the angles they were trying to take there. Annie burned Flash, so Annie's is a very good target for the next engage. Even if you eliminate Annie, though, I'm not sure you're really accomplishing very much because Darius and Hecarim are really the two main champions that are going to cause disruption in the team fight. Victor probably pumping out a decent amount of damage with the mythic item as well, but not nearly as much damage as Hecarim or Darius. Like at the end of this game, I would expect them to be by far the highest damage, the most damage dealers, the champions with the most damage. Unless the new mythic item did like a ton of % damage to Leona throughout the game. That's the only way I could see it being close.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll agree with you. I mean, perhaps this game goes on a little bit longer and we start to see that Victor late game really start pumping out the damage, but this Darius has been putting in a lot of work, and I mean, that's GG.
Only 3.5 items, though.
True.
From the Victor.
This is true.
Almost 4.
That
really close to Rabadon.
Coming. Yeah. It looks like Vitamin C will start to try to get control of this Baron. For the first time we've seen in a while, some assist pings. Are they looking for a pick? Are they looking to start it? Let's see. And they will just go ahead and file out of this one as their inhibitor comes back up, so they have some at least additional pressure in the mid lane.
Yeah, Min's pinging onto the wave right now, trying to get priority, create a little artificial pressure. Even if you get your wave onto the enemy tower, it's really not going to accomplish anything. This is just good fundamental League of Legends, more than it is impactful, I think.
That's GG, changing their mind, seemingly mid-engaged for probably one of the first times this game.
Yeah, true.
Decided to call off the engage there. Do you think both teams are right in playing this slow? Would you like to see a little more initiative from Avatar, or what do
Um,
you make of
if
the decisions here?
if I was if I was on vitamin C, I would probably be looking to get off like a perfect engage with Vi Shen, and then having like Ari either follow up or get a pick to start everything. So I would probably be taking a more aggressive approach if I were on vitamin C than if I was on Avatar, because you like now that the other team has Infernal Soul, this next fight needs to be perfect for you basically in terms of how it starts.
Right.
Otherwise, you really have no chance to win. I think it's that's a long way of saying I think Avatar is correct for playing slow, because not only it's easier for your Darius and Hecarim to be connected to the rest of the team if you allow them to engage.
We finally see a pick here on Nakora Basni. The Assault and Battery is unable to finish them
Wow.
off, and this seems to just be a perfect choke for the Victor damage. And this might be the makings of the end of the game here. And Suffix will fall. Elder Dragon now spawning. R9T is met with a certain doom. This will likely be the Elder and the game. Korbasni already pathing mid, saying, we don't need this Elder Dragon, or at least I don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that should do it for us here.
That was so close, the beginning of that fight. Sterix Gage really saved the day there. Sterix Gage plus Ravenous Hydra doesn't have a ton of defensive stats, but has a gigantic health pool, plus the Yumi and the Annie shields probably were all contributing to Darius living, plus their own Q and stuff like that.
Right.
Um,
Also had
and
access to summoners there.
that's like the kind of spot where the overwhelming nature of Juggernauts is always like undervalued. So like a lot of assassin players probably feel very strong right now, but if you're a Juggernaut, that's one of the easiest ways to take out a team full of assassins and stuff is with champions like Darius.
All right.
GG.
Yes, that was a good game. That was very close for a long time. We had a few pauses in there, and both teams being pretty deliberate and careful with their engages there. Avatar coming out on top, despite we had talked earlier about ease of execution and all of that. Avatar able to put together a large top lane advantage and convert it into a victory. So, congrats to them. I think we'll have more games for everyone later in the week. I don't think we have any more tonight. So, thanks everyone for watching, and we will catch you guys later.
Good night.